Hello, welcome to Canadian Corner. Today I'm reviewing the 2011 French-Canadian film called STARBUCK, directed by Ken Scott and written by Martin Petit and Ken Scott. And it stars Patrick Huard as David Wozniak, Anton Bertrand as David's lawyer and best friend, and Julia Le Breton as Valerie, who is David's love interest. So David is a guy who works for his family's business. His family's business is a butcher shop in Montreal, and his dad is a Polish immigrant, and his mother was as well, but she's no longer alive. And David is a bit of a loser. I'm not sure if we should say David or David. I keep saying David because his name is Polish, so I want to say a Polish pronunciation. Anyway, he's a bit of a loser. He owes about $80,000 at the beginning of the movie to some unsavory types. And the reason is that he has a tendency to invest in sort of half-baked schemes. He's the kind of person who's always doing something crazy. You know, the kind of person. So anyway, shortly, like his current venture is that he wants to grow pot, which I guess is legal in Canada, but I don't think that you can just grow it in your... I mean, it is legal in Canada. Yeah, but I'm not sure it wasn't legal in 2011, I don't think. I think it was legalized in 2015. So his next venture is illegal. So he goes to visit his longtime love interest, Valerie, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And she says she's pregnant, and why would you go interrupt a pregnant woman's sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning? And he's like, well, I didn't know you were pregnant. And she's like, well, if you talk to me more, you would know. We're not dating, and you're not going to be in this child's life. You're not the father of this child. I mean, technically you're the father of the child, but like realistically, you're not going to be involved in this person's life. So David goes away, and he thinks about it, and he's like, you know what? I am going to be in this person's life. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change it around. I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to be the kind of man that can be a father to my child. And about this time, something really crazy happens, which is his apartment is broken into. That's not crazy. That happens a lot in this movie. His apartment is broken into, and there is a lawyer from a fertility clinic that David used to regularly donate sperm to. And he says that the doctor at the clinic made a mistake, and instead of sending your sperm to different places, he used your sperm again and again and again and again. So basically, you have 553 children, and they have filed a lawsuit against the clinic because they want to know who their father is. And here is they put together this file of who they are and to give to you in case you want to reveal your identity. And then the lawyer leaves. And so David is thrust in this very public trial, and he's kind of debating about whether to come clean. That he was, so his code name was Starbuck. To admit publicly that he's Starbuck. But as he's kind of wrestling with this decision, he decides that he wants to see his children and what kind of lives they have. And this part is really kind of tender and sweet in the movie because it shows what kind of character David has. Like in the beginning, we think he's just a loser, but he does have like this really big heart. So the first guy they meet is some star soccer player, and David is really into soccer. I guess that's his Polish upbringing, but he's really into soccer, so he's like really, really thrilled. But then the next person he meets, maybe it's not the next person, maybe it's the third person, is this woman who is having like this big argument, and he pretends to be a pizza delivery guy so he can talk to her. And so she's like, oh, take the money and leave. And then she's yelling all of this. And then you hear that the yelling has stopped. And so he goes into the room to check on her. And he just says, like, like my boss is this really hardcore boss. We have this policy that we can't leave any of our clients in bad situations. So I'm going to go and check on you and make sure you're okay. And then he sees that she had been shooting up heroin. Yeah, it was heroin, and had an overdose. So he takes her to the hospital, and the the hospital wants the girl, because she's underage. They want her to stay and to be forced into a treatment program. And so he goes to the girl and he's like, listen, they want you to stay for this treatment program and you need some help, clearly. And she's like, no, 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 I have this big job. This is like the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. I'm not going to do that again. And he's like, okay, that's weird. I mean, not weird, but yeah, that kind of makes sense. So he goes and he's about to like sign, he's about to sign the papers. Well, before they're like, who are you? And the girl, because she realizes this is a weird situation, she just says, oh, Dad, are you ashamed of me? And she doesn't realize that he is really her father, biologically anyway. So anyway, they have this back and forth, and he decides that she's telling the truth. And this is a really great scene where basically he says to her, I don't make the best decisions, so I'm not sure that I'm making the right decision here. And you say that you have this job interview at 8 o'clock on Monday. I want you to be there because I want you to prove that I made the right decision. And it's like so sweet and so kind of balanced. So he kind of spies on her at 8 o'clock on Monday to make sure that she's going to go to this job interview. And I don't think that he told her that he was going to spy on her, but he does. And there's like almost a moment of disappointment because she's late, but she does arrive. And he's like, great. And so he does this with a lot of his children because he has this dossier and he can like find out who they are and where they live and all that stuff. So basically he's spying on them. And the trial kind of gets more and more complicated. And the thing that I found weird about the movie is that Starbuck is presented in the media as like this pervert and this guy who did like this really horrible thing, but it was 100% not his fault. He was providing a service that paid him well and was required. And the screw up happened on the clinic's part. I think this movie kind of came out when people heard about a story about this Dutch guy who had fathered 600 to 1,000 children, and he was a sperm donor. But that guy was pathologically crazy because he got some kind of sick pleasure out of, fathering so many kids because there was a limit to how many times you could donate your sperm at this sperm clinic near where he lived. So then he went to another one. He had some fake identities. So he put a lot of effort in becoming one of the world's most prolific fathers, but biologically anyway. But David didn't do that. David just went to his local place because they paid him, and he didn't ask questions about, what they were going to do with all of this sperm. And when I was watching the movie, I was thinking, yeah, like what do they do with all the sperm? I think that because there's not sperm donor clinics everywhere in every city, like there's in large cities. So I thought maybe they would like take it and freeze it and send it to like little towns in Canada or something, not like one place, one clinic. So I'm not sure why everybody is so upset with him because it's not his fault. I can understand why the children would want to know who their father was, but on the other hand, I can kind of understand how intimidating that would be to know that you have 553 children and they all want to have a relationship with you. Because, it's hard with only two. I have two kids, and I think that we have good relationships, and I try to have good relationships with them. But, I can't imagine. Like, I try to talk to my kids every day. They live with their mother, but I call them every day, and they're here as often as they can because of their schedules and stuff. Um, but I can't imagine having 553 conversations every day about, and obviously you're going to be closer to some of your children in that situation. So I can understand why he would want to be anonymous. But anyway, so they file a countersuit against the clinic saying that it's completely irresponsible that this situation happened and you actually damaged David as well. And it's true. That's true. And so they win 200,000 and the money is used to settle David's debts because in the meantime these gangsters have started to threaten David's father. So yeah, and that's where the movie ends. He tells his girlfriend that he is Starbuck, and she had gone on earlier about how it was so disgusting and it's like being a prostitute. And actually, no, it's not like being a prostitute because it's a solo event, Like, I don't know. I think like for David, it just seemed to be like a job that he was doing. And he actually used the money to send his parents on a vacation to Venice because his mother was dying, and that was their wish, is to spend some time in Italy with her husband before she died. And so he did it for like this really sweet purpose. But I think even if that wasn't the case, even if he had just been doing it for money, I don't see any problem with that because you're providing a service, which is your sperm, and the fertility clinic needs to test all of that stuff and needs to use it responsibly. And in prostitution, I mean, we could argue about the merits of prostitution, but generally you're doing it with somebody else, and then you're exposing yourself to danger, both physical danger, but also health danger and stuff. And when you're just masturbating into a cup, I mean, maybe there's a chance of injury if you're doing it too much. But apart from that, there's no shame in it, I think. Because this might shock you, but I think boys and probably girls, I'm not a girl, but boys and girls, men and women in their lives have probably masturbated more than 535 times. I'm sure. I mean, some people have real problems with that. But I'm kind of getting off track. But yeah, so is the movie any good? Yes, it's good. It's kind of like really, really sweet. There are some moments where you're like, oh, this is going to go in a way I don't like. And you see all of these kind of different lives of different people. And I think one thing that maybe detracts a little bit from it, and it makes total sense because they're not going to be able to find 500, there's not really 500 actors. I think that at most they have about 60 or 70 extras who are playing as children, but they don't look like David So that's kind of weird, right? Like I would think that your children would look more like you. Oh, and another thing that's great about the movie is that they talk about so David goes to this meeting of the children because they have this open meeting where they're discussing their strategy for the upcoming trial. And David's like, "Well, um, let's not talk about Starbuck, but I love you. I love you all. And you have to know, apart from Starbuck, the thing that you have here is you have so many brothers and sisters that you can meet, that you can know, that maybe you can rely on in the future, and that's the best part about this." So, yeah, that's a really sweet moment. Um, there's kind of some controversy around it because, like, the controversy around the movie is not specifically about the movie, but it's more about the whole sort of industry of sperm donation. And clearly, it can be abused, like the guy from the Netherlands was abusing it. So it can be abused, and also you need limitations on the donations that people can do for this reason, because if you have 553 people in Montreal, that means that they statistically, at least a few of them have dated already, right? And the lucky part is that they are younger, on the younger side, so they don't have like they don't have big careers, they haven't fallen in love, they haven't raised families. But that's the big problem that this has, is that there's a possibility that you could have children with your sister or your brother. And so it does need to be regulated. But I don't think that's the problem of this movie. And I think actually the movie would be like, yeah, this is wild that that happened. That shouldn't have happened. But I think the movie focuses most of the anger on David. And then when we discover that David is this lovable fool of a character, we're like, oh yeah, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. The couple of things, a few other things is that this movie was remade twice. I think in 2013 and 2015. And the movie in 2013 was an English adaptation starring Vincent Vaughn, which I can't imagine is any good, but maybe it's good. And that makes sense because this is a French language film, so that might be a bit of a challenge for people to watch it. But it also was adapted in 2015 as a French language film in France, which says a lot about the relations that France has with Quebec. They're like, oh, we can't understand anything you're saying. We're going to make our own movie with this story, which is crazy, but what can you do? All right, that's my review of STARBUCK. Should you watch it? Yeah, you'll have a good time. If you like what I do, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 10 subscribers by the end of June, and I'm trying to be the most prolific reviewer of all time. So that means I need to do thousands of reviews. So if you like what I do, that shows the algorithm that other people might like it, and it's a good support. So all right, thank you. Bye-bye.